Yeah, at times. We'd like to have it more consistent for sure. There's been some explosive runs that we've hit, but we're looking for consistency. That's the biggest thing. We had some tough ones today that we didn't block very well and didn't have very good lanes. But like I said, we've got some explosive plays this spring, but we're looking for the consistency in running.
How's it? I know last spring you had an issue with negative runs, 0 runs, one-yard runs. Is it better that way in terms of consistency?
Yeah, some of the stretch runs we've gotten some push in the backfield. That's where you can lose some of those yardage, which is bad. But we don't ever want. That's the goal, is to have none. We want to be always positive. And when you're running the outside stuff, sometimes that if you get beat by one guy, you have a chance to lose some yards. So we got to do a good job with the backs of really pressing it and getting at least back to line of scrimmage, if not more, especially on the wide stuff.
Do you know how you want to divide the series out for your quarterbacks?
A little bit. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. Yeah, more detail.
Is there any guys really stood out this spring who might really surprise us on Saturday, you think?
I think Reimers has looked really good. I think he's had a good spring. Makes a ton of plays, catches the ball well. I think all 3 backs have been solid. Luke McNitt's played pretty well at fullback. Tanner Farmer's come along on the line. Neville's getting some more work in there at tackle. There's been a handful of guys that probably haven't heard much from, but are looking pretty good.
So Reimers came off. He had a little bit of an injury. He came off that pretty well.
Yeah, he's running around well. He had maybe a couple weeks where we missed him, but he looked great today. Had a nice day.
Is there a pecking order with those 3 backs right now?
Not yet. No, we've just rotated them. They've all had good days. They've had their moments, but that's a solid group right now of tailbacks. And Mikhail's come along and pushed those other 2. And those other 2 have had more carries and more time last year, but I think Mikhail's making a push too.
The way that you have distributed reps with those quarterbacks so far, it looks like when we've gotten a chance to see that you've gotten a pretty good look at most of it.
It's been real equal, and we'll continue that way. We're trying to give all those guys work, and so we'll be kind of dependent on our numbers and how Coach wants to do the 1s and 2s, and we're going to meet on that tomorrow. So.
How would you characterize Tommy's spring?
I think it's overall was pretty good. There's been some times where we've turned the ball over. We've just got to learn to eliminate those throws, those bad decisions, inaccurate throws. But I think he's got a much better handle of what we're doing. He's been much more comfortable than this time last year for sure. And I think he's continuing to grow. All that experience last year and what we're doing has helped. And then, of course, the last 14 days have been good to grow on.
How do you feel about the backup situation compared to going into last fall?
Well, it's inexperienced, which is always it's hard to get those guys many turns in real live reps. So that's always a concern. But I think we've got 3 guys that are much more comfortable in what we're doing. I think Riker's had a real solid spring, and then AJ and Patrick have been really evened up on reps, and they're both doing some nice things. And then there's some growing pains too with both of them, but I think it's a solid group, and I think it's much further along than we were last year.
When you don't have experience like AJ and Patrick don't, what do you tell them? Because you can't get it over the summer.
Yeah.
So what kinds of things can they do just to put themselves in a position to be able to, kind of make a push in fall?
Yeah, I think they just have to keep studying, and they got to really get a rapport with the receivers. They've got to work hard at the timing of the routes and understanding what we're doing. They've got a good handle in the run game in our run checks, and there's not a lot of summer stuff in terms of that. They're going to run their tracks with the backs, but they just got to keep working at their craft and improving their fundamentals, and then continue to study.
You have to remind the fans, don't put too much stock into this. It's just 1 of 15.
Yes, that's definitely. We don't have our. It's not like that for the players. It's not just a one-day deal for them. It is a game. It's a bigger deal probably to everybody else, but there's a whole body of work that they've worked on from the spring, and we're evaluating every play in every practice. So you're talking about 15 days of work as opposed to just one big spring game.
I'll ask you the 37th offensive identity question of the spring. Mike said on Saturday he's got it all up here as far as what the offense is going to look like or how he can define it, but he wouldn't tell us. Tommy said it's hard to say. How could you put it into words? What you'd like the identity of the offense?
On Sunday or Saturday you're talking?
More so for the season based off of what you've seen.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cliche stuff, you know, being able to run the ball well and be efficient, taking care of the ball. You know, I don't think there's any big secrets on who we want to be. We want to be able to be a physical, downhill running team and be efficient throwing the ball. So there's no surprises there. You know, I don't think you can necessarily, you know, it's game to game and game plan wise. There's always things that are going to be there and things that they're going to take away. So you have to have a good foundation of offense to be able to attack a lot of different looks. But we have to be able to protect the quarterback and run the ball, and those are going to be big things going forward. Okay. Thanks.